Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Are the Masterpiece, where we are taking and beautiful topics and dive in to give you more awareness about the expansion in this world and just really working with your consciousness to see there are a lot of possibilities in this beautiful universe and just for you to be more aware and connected to something that really is of interest to you. And if this is the first time you're tuning in, hello, my name is Irina Portnova and I'm a manifestation star. Why do I call myself manifestation star? Because I manifested great things in my life and I want to teach you how to do it effortlessly and with the joy. And I'm here today with my guest, Keith Robinson. Keith, thanks so much for coming today and tell a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in this world.
Yes, and thank you for manifesting me onto your show.
Yay.
Greetings, everyone.
Mhm.
I've been actually heavily involved in the health space for nearly 17 years at this point, but I have been self employed since the age of 19 in the areas of wholesale distribution and also about 10 years in financial services. But where I have enjoyed the most is actually helping people in the health and wellness space.
I love it. So let's dive in into our topic. I love our topic today, where we are going to talk about your body can fix anything. Can you tell a little bit more? What does that mean? And what was your personal experience that led you to do what you're doing today?
My very first experience was somebody telling me one day that it is now possible to reverse heart disease. So
Hmm.
I was a little bit skeptical because I would have thought that if that was possible, I would have heard it on every radio station and every television station. But
Hmm.
then I began to realize why it's not. So I had to prove it to myself whether the information was correct or not. So what I
Hmm.
did was I had my cardiovascular system analyzed, and my cardiovascular age was 40, even though I was 46. I followed
Hmm.
the protocol that I teach people today, which was what we call the Vital 3 protocol. And 90 days later, I had my vascular system analyzed again, and I was very happy to see that my cardiovascular age had dropped from 40 to 22 years of age. And then
Hmm.
2 months after that, I had it checked again, and I had actually come down to a teenager. So I didn't need any more proof beyond that. I thought this is true, it is correct, and this is information that should be shared with people so they can get the same benefit.
Hmm. So tell a little bit more. Why do we want to reverse the age and have our heart function differently? Like, what are the benefits?
Well, in the normal course of events, we build up plaque in the arterial system. And as we build up plaque, we restrict the blood flow, we cause stiffness in the arteries. Stiffness in the arteries actually causes the body to manufacture more cholesterol to go in and seal the cracks and tears because they've lost their flexibility. Also, as we build up more plaque, we restrict the blood flow getting through to the far side. So, if you have a liver that's working on a third of the blood supply it should have been getting, it's going to start screaming at your brain to ask your heart to rise in pressure to get blood flow there. And this is why people end up with high blood pressure. But the reason they had high blood pressure is because they were not manufacturing enough nitric oxide in the first place to keep the arterial system clean, elastic, and free flowing. So, because we're not making enough, this causes cardiovascular issues, which are recorded as being high cholesterol, high blood pressure, cold feet, cold hands, Alzheimer's, dementia, anything that can be related to blood flow issues is down to a lack of nitric oxide production in the first place.
Hmm. And I love everything what you are talking about from scientific point of view, but I'm more like a visual person, and I know my audience love to get to the specifics. Like, tell a little bit about yourself. Like, how was your life before when you were actually doing this procedure, and how is it now?
Well, at the time, you don't really notice going down the hill. So in other words,
Mm-hmm.
people over 10 or 15 years, this problem is building up. But the body just keeps trying to compensate, and you don't notice the changes that the body is trying to counteract. But once you reverse that problem, once you clean the arterial system and every organ and gland works better, then you're going to have better quality of sleep, more energy. If you're
Mm-hmm.
into training in sports, you can perform better and you can recover faster. There's huge benefits long term. What most people notice is an increase in energy and an increase in quality of life generally. But also, when you're supplying the body with the missing nutrition that's gone from our food, as well as improving the circulatory system, what you will find that the body starts working on a list of corrections that it needs to make and was never able to make them. So even though somebody can be diagnosed with a specific health challenge, the body will work on that health challenge because it now has the fuel and it has the circulation.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're bringing the example of saying better sleep, better more, like functionality in terms of the activities, physical activities, right? Whatever it looks
Yeah.
to everybody, because if we talk about our health, we always want to be more energized. We also want to have enough fuel in our body in order to do the things that we love to do. And Keith, take me to how is it different from traditional medicine, what you are offering to people?
Well, in the normal course of events, as the body keeps asking the heart to rise in pressure, the blood pressure is going to keep slowly going up. And it's going to go up until the organs and glands that are looking for that blood supply are satisfied. So it'll go up. But if the arterial systems get clogged up further, then it's going to be asking the heart to rise again. So this is why people end up going higher and higher and higher in blood pressure. What the medical profession do is put people on a medication to tell the heart to lower down on pressure. But if the body's asking for more blood flow somewhere and the heart needs to work at this pressure to get it there, and you put them on medication to go back down to this pressure, well, then you are now back to starving the blood supply to the organs that were initially looking for more blood supply. So, what you're doing is you are going to create a bigger problem instead of solving the first problem.
Mm-hmm. I love what you're sharing. So, can you tell a little bit about what exactly is the way that you can help people to do
Yes.
that?
So, we manufacture a certain level of nitric oxide within our bodies. And there was a 1998 Nobel Prize for Medicine given to three doctors for proving that nitric oxide was a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. So when we eat foods that contain the amino acid arginine, which would be foods like meat, shellfish, nuts, chicken, rice, tapioca, we will get arginine from those food sources. The arginine goes into our bloodstream, and there's a lining of our veins in the arteries called the endothelium, and the arginine parks on the endothelium, and that's where nitric oxide is manufactured. We make it naturally. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, as we age, we make less and less. So whatever somebody makes in their 20s, they're down to 50% of that in their 40s, and they are down to 15% of that in their 60s. And this is why it is assumed that that's going to stay that way, and your arterial system is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and you'll have to hide that with more and more and more medications. So we use an extremely high quality raw food supplement. It's called an arginine complexer to provide the body with the nutrition it needs to boost nitric oxide production. So, in other words, there's an amino acid called arginine, there's another amino acid called citrulline. And when you get the correct ratios of those plus other ingredients, the body can boost nitric oxide production up to and beyond 36 hours instead of 1 to 3 seconds. Now, the body has enough nitric oxide production to start melting the plaque that was already there, restoring the blood flow, taking the pressure off the heart, And because you get the elasticity back in the arteries, the body is no longer asking the liver to make extra cholesterol to go in and seal the cracks and tears because of the stiffness in the arteries. So cholesterol comes back down again.
Interesting. So, can you share a couple of success stories from somebody who is taking your product and how are their results improved?
Yeah, I was actually sat down with a surgeon one day who was having a number of health challenges himself. He had two heart attacks before the age of 40. He was a
Hmm.
type 2 diabetic. He'd been on medication for 17 years, and he had an ulcer on his leg that wasn't healing. And I sat down with him one Sunday morning in his house, and I started to explain the Vital 3 protocol, why we need it, and what it can do, what the body can do with it when it has that fuel. So he was a little bit sort of wondering why I was educating him on this subject, and he'd gone through a whole amount of education from a medical and pharmaceutical perspective, and this was never mentioned. But it made sense to him. So he said to me, "Tell me what to do." I guided him on exactly what to do. And within 6 weeks, he was off every medication he'd been on for 17 years. He
Mm.
actually fixed his problems. And we've had people who, well, I remember another guy who was told he needed a triple bypass. He didn't particularly want to have his chest cranked open and have a bypass, but what he did was he went on our protocol, but he went quite strong on volume for a 3 month period. And he went
Hmm.
back in for a pre-op examination, if you like, and they did another scan on him. And there was a stand-up row between the cardiologist and the technician that did his scan that morning, because the cardiologist could not believe it was his scan. He said,
Mm.
this is not the scan of somebody that needs a bypass. This person no longer needs a bypass." So he avoided a triple bypass within 3 months. And
Wow,
I
this is
remember
incredible.
we were out in Nigeria in 2018 helping people out there, and there was a lady who had had a stroke 5 years previously, and she had spent 5 years in bed with a complete dead side in her body. Half her body was dead. So her daughter got the V3 protocol to give to the mother about 5 weeks before we were over there. And this particular event we were doing, this lady asked to speak. And she stood up and she explained about her mother and the stroke, and that she every morning they go in to sit her up in the bed, and then every evening to lie her down, help her to do that. But he said, "This morning I went in to my mother and she was already sitting on the side of the bed." And she says, "I said to her, 'Who got you up?' She says, 'I got myself up because I'm getting back the feeling.'" So
Hmm.
a clot that was stuck in her brain for 5 years, now that she was making enough nitric oxide melted the clot.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful. I love it. So if we talk like we have the listeners, we have the audience, if somebody is listening to you, how do they know that this is for them?
Well, put it this way, there's not a person on the planet that doesn't benefit from fabulous nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a person on the planet that wouldn't benefit from increased nitric oxide production, because number one, you're going to make sure you avoid future cardiovascular incidents. And unfortunately, the world is full of cardiovascular incidents: heart attacks, strokes, cold feet, cold hands, clots. It's very prevalent. But if you can keep your arterial system clean, elastic, and free flowing, I don't see how it's possible to have a heart attack or stroke, because there's no plaque there to rupture. And even if you
Mm-hmm.
have weaknesses in the wall of the arterial system, let's say somebody that was prone to an embolism, I have seen people's embolism retract. So the muscle wall actually improves using this
Mm-hmm.
protocol also. And we use a three-pronged approach. So part one would be the arginine complex, or it's called ProArginine Plus, to fuel the body to repair the vascular system. Part two is live raw berries, and part three is live raw greens. So because the nutritional value of the food is so depleted, you have to fill that gap. And that's why the raw greens and the raw berries are there. so as that at a cellular level, the body has the fuel to start repairing and replacing itself at a higher value. And that's why it's a vital three protocol.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So tell me more a little bit about like why is it important for you? Obviously, you are on a mission because now you healed yourself and it really sparked something in you. Like, why do you want to help people?
Because I feel that it is my duty. I have been
Mm-hmm.
given this information, and why should I keep that to myself? Wouldn't I
Mm-hmm.
be very selfish if I didn't find out this, learn all I could, and not share it? And
Mm-hmm.
you know you're doing the right thing when you're watching the results of the people that you share this with, and they get the same results. Because we've watched people correct pretty much every health challenge you could think of. We
Mm-hmm.
we helped a lady in Dublin actually reverse her HIV over a 6 month period.
Mm-hmm.
So she had a certain level of viral count in her blood. She did the V3 protocol, and we did a microbiome gut reset with her as well, and continued the V3 protocol. It was a 6 month period, but within the first 3 months, her viral count halved. 3 months later, her viral count was undetectable according to the blood work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I helped the lady reverse lupus over a 6 month period. We've seen fabulous results with diabetics. In fact, we have pictures on my computer of a lady that they wanted to amputate her leg. It was that bad from a diabetic leg ulcer. She repaired that completely within 9 weeks, fresh skin over the entire wound. So massive results with immune system issues, fertility issues, arthritic issues. We've seen people work their way off dialysis because the kidney cleaned itself and started to function properly again. Um, Erectile dysfunction, the oldest gentleman we saw sorting that out was actually 92. So this is why I keep saying there are no limits, but it's important that
I
people
love
know
it.
about it.
I love it. So tell more, how do people connect with you, and is there like the consult that they can receive before they decide to move forward to use your product?
I would highly recommend that people connect with either myself or some of my team that have been trained on this so as that they can, number one, understand why they're in trouble. Because I think it's really important for people to understand the process of why they went slowly down the hill and ran into trouble, and for
Mm-hmm.
them to understand how they can fuel the body to get back up the hill and get out of their trouble. So to me, I think education is the most important thing. And just saying to somebody, oh, just do this or do that, and not understanding what they're doing, then their head is not in the game. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing, or don't, they don't, it doesn't make sense to them. So I think people need to understand what they're doing and have somebody hold their hand through the journey of that repair. Because I like to stay in close contact of somebody that's heading down this this journey. They can
Yes, I
connect
love
with me
what you
on
shared.
Facebook or LinkedIn. Yeah,
Yes, yes, definitely. Yes. So for everybody who's interested, reach out to Keith. I posted the links. Connect with him on LinkedIn, connect with him on Facebook, and let's see how he can help you. If you have any questions, he will be able to answer these questions. And obviously, any other tips that you would like to give people, Keith? If I know that a lot of people love to sit on that fence because they trust the traditional medicine more and they trust the doctors more than they trust the alternative medicine. But nowadays, it's all about just opening your mind and really paying attention. What are we listening to? Who we take as authority in our life? Because obviously, like you mentioned, the media is not the place where they want us to be healthy using the non-traditional way of getting healed. They want us to take the medication to get even more sicker, because that there is the way for it, right? So if we become more conscious of what are we consuming, who we are
yeah,
listening to, what kind of information are we allowed to actually come to our subconscious level. That's exactly where we can see the change in our entire life, including the health. So if somebody is sitting on the fence, like, is it for me, should I reach out, what kind of tips can you give them to reassure them that this is the right step for them?
Well, make sure they're sitting on a pointy part of the fence so it's uncomfortable.
Totally,
the
I love that. Yes. Yes.
so we're we've been misled on the foods we should eat. So people have been
Mhm.
told, "Oh, low fat, low fat, low fat," and use diet this and diet that. I mean, it's wrong. And I mean, you get a lot of people, and they're maybe drinking diet sodas and diet this and diet that. So here's something that's really important to know. If you're drinking or eating a product that has an artificial sweetener such as aspartame or amino sweet, or they keep changing the name so they can keep hiding it. So let's say, for example, you're having a diet soda, and the aspartame or the amino sweet, whatever it is 600 times sweeter than sugar. So when you take that sip, when you take that first mouthful, your body believes there's a load of sugar coming and starts producing insulin to counteract the sugar. But the sugar's not there, and the insulin is going to cause mayhem in the system. So it's really important for people to understand that we need proper foods, clean foods that are not interfered with. And that's one of the things to be cognizant of. Um, uh, People are eating margarine instead of butter, and
Mhm.
margarine is one molecule away from plastic. It's not healthy. Whereas real butter, if you can get it from a grass-fed dairy source, that's much better for you. People are been have their cholesterol levels driven down so low. You probably maybe you know this, but there was no incidences of dementia before there was cholesterol medication.
Mm.
So when you have there's a protector of the brain called the myelin. It's actually 70% of the weight of the brain, and you need cholesterol and fats to build it and repair it. So when you have a lack of cholesterol and a lack of fats, how does the body repair it? And next thing you have wiring shortages, and that's called dementia, Alzheimer's. All those things are being caused by our lifestyle and a lack of understanding. Greens, it's really important for people to eat greens. That's why one of our Vital 3 protocol is live raw greens, because greens are needed in the body to detox the organs, cleanse the blood, correct the pH, plus provide nutrition. So if you don't get greens in your diet, those jobs are not happening. And 9 people out of 10 are acidic instead of being alkaline. And when your
Mhm.
body is alkaline, so when your body is acidic, in order to keep the blood pH at 7.365, your body has to take calcium from your bones, take magnesium from your muscles, donate it to your blood to get your blood at 7.365, but you're ending up with muscle cramp and brittle bones. But you caused it yourself by being acidic. So these are all
Mhm.
things everybody should know and be cognizant of, and get use have a diet that is going to help those things instead of hindering those things.
Oh my God, I just love everything what you share. It just, like expand the awareness for people who might always, like I was like just intuitively never felt like, okay, the substitute of sugar would be something good. Like for me, anything substitute, that means, okay, just kill yourself right there, right? So it's all
Yeah.
about just like really understanding what are the ingredients of all these products that we are consuming. And Bruno, thanks so much for participation. He says that this is a good content and it's great to see you with us. Yes, Kate, I truly, truly enjoy like our conversation and everything what you shared. So for people, it's just like understand that the life is in their hands and nobody else is going to save them if they are not ready to save themselves. And I
Yes.
just love your mission, what you are doing in this world. And I find it is very rewarding, just, like to bring more education, to bring more clarity for everybody to really take the life in their own hands and start living more healthier. And again, there is a lot of help. And for you just to become curious, stay open, and start asking the right questions, because the quality of the questions that we have will determine the quality of the answers we receive. And the more we ponder upon these questions, the more we see that the answers are already there. And it's for us just to connect with the right people and start like really taking the charge in our own life. Keith, anything else you would love to add? Any other tips?
But just to remember that the system that is there at the minute is designed to have people as sick as possible for as long as possible on as many medications as possible. There is no
Mm-hmm.
benefit to have people healthy and well and not needing them. So the, you have to be cognizant of the way the system is set up so you can be a couple of steps ahead of that.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. And everything what Bruno shares in the comments. Again, just, like for everybody to be more mindful of everything what they are doing in their life. And I just love that our body can actually fix ourselves. And once we know where to search for that help, once we make the decision that we can accept that help, that's exactly how things manifest and happen in our life for the best. Keith, again, thank you so, so much for coming today. Thanks so much for sharing that wisdom. And for everybody who is tuning in, please reach out. The contact information is in the description. And have a beautiful, beautiful day. And keep doing what you're doing, because people really require your help. And the more healthy people we have, the more happy world we are creating. Thanks so much for everybody to tuning in, and see you on the next episode next week. Bye.